My friends, welcome back. Exhibit A. Let's add a little bit of feedback there. Sorry if you heard that. Exhibit A. Actually, let's switch this up for a minute. I don't have one to switch to. Well, we can go back here while I dig through the menu with my camera. Alright, I think that should keep it from getting crazy with the blacking the screen out. Exhibit A. We left last week. We left with the Dell Inspiron 23-5348 series, waiting on the motherboard. We've got it. We're going to get to that. Right now, this one's been sitting. We needed a palm rest. We've got our palm rest. So with that, let's go ahead and try and see what we can do with getting this new palm rest put together with the old pieces. This is the Dell Inspiron. What is this? A P24t? So I think an Inspiron 3000 maybe, something like that. P24t. That's how you look it up. You will find it. So we've got to move a battery. We've got to move the battery, the hinges. That's wonderful. Everything's there. We're not missing broken stuff. So we have a few parts to move over. Like I said, we got to do the battery, we got to do the motherboard, the top case, or the top lid in the LCD also has to move over. So let's get to work. Start moving these parts. That is some sticky adhesive. We have this piece of adhesive here, and we have the old one on the battery. Let's go. Pretty sure we don't have enough room to double it up. And I also had an issue with actually my interface. I'm going to turn this gain down just a little. I had an issue with the interface here. Yesterday we recorded the podcast and it didn't actually record. So EV comp, can we adjust the EV comp or no? Sorry if you had to see that. Hopefully you didn't. Display. Single shooting. Alright, no. Well, anyhow, let's get to it. We're going to start moving all this stuff over. you should have 3 screws possibly holding down the battery. It all depends where. It looks like there should be. Let's move this over and zoom it in a little bit. You would think that you would have a screw right there. You'd think you would have a screw here, but you don't. It actually comes through from the bottom case to hold the battery in place. So don't make that mistake. You're going to have 1, 2, and then 3 screws holding the battery in. We'll set those to the side. This is the one that came in, basically broke open, split in two. Somebody else had done work to it. So we're going to have a fun time with this one. Alright, as far as I know, we don't need the trackpad. We do need the motherboard and then the LCD. So let's remove the motherboard. We'll put those screws there. We have 1. This is the one that we had to replace. 2. Alright, we have a speaker. And what is this, our display connector? Yes. Why is it so dark? It just gets maddening why that gets so dark all of a sudden. You know what? Let's try something else. Let's try program. Brighten up our AV comp and see what we can do about it there. Looks a little better. Alright, we have the trackpad cable, and then this one was already loose. We did the LCD cable, and our motherboard should basically be free at this point. We also have to install a DC jack, as the one was broken, and we're going to try and find a way to reinforce around it. I do believe, yes, it screws in here and sets in this area, so we will need to I'm gonna find a way to reinforce it. If I have to get some of the melty plastic or possibly hot glue to back it up so it doesn't snap off of that little tab so easily. This we have to move other than our LCD. Let's go ahead and do that. We need to find a screw. We're gonna see if this one fits in. Actually, we need this for our DC jack. I get it now. I was missing a screw, and this should be a red one. Indeed it is. We'll have 1 extra. We'll be pulling 1 extra out of that cup because I found one to replace the one that I thought I'd lost, but it was because this was broken loose. I'd put one in there to try and strengthen it a little when opening and closing it. These are the 2 for the display. We'll actually need to open this up and then remove our display. Alright, before we go and connect this, we're going to take a second look at this piece to see what we might need from it compared to the other one. It doesn't look like really anything. This aluminum tape got a little mangled compared to how it's laid out. It isn't slightly mangled. We've got this little rubber block that we can, and then we have one of these that was broken out, remember. We can move this rubber piece over to here. That is a slightly different layout. All the screw holes seem to be matching up. I have to wonder if we need this block, but let's go ahead and move it regardless. Basically, that's just a spacer that is going to, and you can't even see it, just going to take up a little bit of space, flexing the laptop. Who knows, some reason like that will work up in that area of the display. Alright, first things first, let's get our display connected the same way. Same way we took it off, we'll put this one on. We've got to connect our Wi-Fi wires underneath the hinge. There's a spot where they get held on. And then we also have our display cable where we're going to have it run underneath the hinge as well. There, and then over here. There's one, and then we need two. Screw one, screw two. The hinge is attached, but opening and closing it with just these two in a bunch, you are going to rip the little brass thing that is just pressed into the plastic. You will rip that loose if you open and close it a bunch and are not careful. So we're going to screw these down, close it, and start the build up. Let's put the two screws in. There we go. Alright, same cable. Always like to verify. It is a little bent, so we'll go ahead and grab this and get it connected now. Battery will go there. We have our ribbon cable that's attached to the bottom case, the speaker. And we are missing a rubber grommet out of this side. I don't have one that size to put in. It would be nice, but I just don't have it. Didn't come with it. Not vitally important. Right, there we have our display connector connected, the speaker, the battery. We're going to do our Wi-Fi, connect the wires, install our battery, get our various little pieces in. This piece was bent fairly bad when it originally came in. It had a curve to it. This latches in and goes over the display connector, and you need an M2 by L3 screw to connect there. It should be about like this. Well, not about. It should be this one. Go ahead and move that connected. We have, yes, this one. This was our Wi-Fi retainer cable or bracket. So when you put your Wi-Fi card in, you'll put it in, and then there will be a little bracket that goes over it to retain it in there. And guess what? Is this the wrong size Wi-Fi card? No. So we do have a slightly different case. We do not have a mount for that card. We're going to have to engineer something for that one. So very similar, very, very similar case. The mount for the Wi-Fi is in a different spot. That's the only discernible difference. So it would actually, this one would take a more full-size Wi-Fi card. Did they make them that long? I thought they were just short. Regardless, we will figure this out. L by 2.3. I've got it. It may take a few moments, but we will mount that card solidly. Anybody that's dealt with old what are they called? Like old PCI Express cards, the mini PCI Express. You probably know exactly what I'm doing right now. This is going to be a similar thing, but this is going to be the one screw solution to that versus the either 4, 3, or 2. Or this is going to be the 2 screw solution to that. There's a little bit of work to do. We will mount that Wi-Fi card and mount it fairly properly. So one will go through, that will give us space, and that one will mount down. I'm going to take and snip all of the sharp corners off of this bracket that I'm making now. Actually, we can probably draw it 2 sides, or draw on it and trim it at least the size. Zoom this back out a little for this one. We are turning in some fairly small screws with this bracket. Now, the bracket we will still be able to use. However, we're going to be able to use it in the sense that it will do what it does and hold down our the little antenna wires. It'll hold those down. The other part of it, I don't think we can do that, but we could give it a whirl. The question on my mind right now is 1/16 too big to let this screw thread in properly. It looks to be the case. However, we can go up one size screw there, and that will work. This is what happens when you don't get an identical part. There's literally no spot to mount the Wi-Fi card, so we're going to have to make this mount. Let's check this and see if a 1/16 drill bit will fit through here. It does, and it's fairly loose. We're going to drill a hole in, can't even really show you that, our aluminum piece where I've marked it, and then see if the screw will thread in. If it doesn't, then we will use 1 gauge bigger, or one size bigger screw. We have our auto punch. Now we need a drill bit and a drill, and we're going to clean that out. Alright, the actual test. Will the screw thread or just fall through? Alright, and we're lucky. It's going to thread in. Right now I'm going to check to see the clearance between the bracket that holds down the antenna wires. We're going to check that to the clearance where this threads together, and if we need to cut a notch in this, we might have to actually do that. Because normally, here, let's get in here a lot closer. Not Alright. You have your bracket, and then this bracket has a piece that extends that way downward that would just go over the edge of the card, and then this little piece here where the dot is that actually goes over where the two antenna wires connect. That's basically going to sandwich together, but there's not enough room, so we may need to drill a few holes to let that bracket sit down in there. And I think that's what we're going to do. I'm going to make a mark right now where it's at, and then we'll get to work on putting a slot there. And we will need to go right beside the marker. Let's unthread this. And work on that. We need to get a couple holes drilled side by side, and then we'll clean it out. Can we do it with a Dremel? Probably not. Before it runs away, let's auto punch it. So far, we've got 2 of 4. Let's try and go for one more. I don't think we're going to get all 4. Nope. One was slightly off. Now it's time for the Dremel. Oh, where are you, tiny cutting tool? Where did thee go? we're going to see if the Dremel, with the help of a Dremel and a vise, if we can cut the space that we need in there for that bracket to sit. I think we can. Before we go mowing metal parts everywhere, we're going to move our sensitive components out of the way. The drill will throw them, but it's not like a Dremel. Let's clamp our plate in here and see what we can do about carving that out. Shouldn't slip. Might hit the camera. We'll throw stuff straight at the camera, but that's okay. The glass is not that fragile. Alright, we're going to mute. Dremels are loud and annoying. Okay, quick enough work for that. Now, is it going to look like some factory laser cut piece? Decidedly no. We cut this by hand. So, let's see how close our fit is. See what we need to readjust. We want to do what it was designed to do, not near wide enough. So now we're going to cut it out a little further each way, and that should let it do what we need it to do. So we've got to reclamp it and saw it down, or Dremel it down. Sorry. We're going to use this side because this vise is bent from years of abuse, and it clamps before the other side, long before. Alright, muting it again. We'll be back in a moment. And to avoid ruining it, we will try and make use of a file because it cuts a lot slower than a Dremel. And you can be a little more precise. Time to find out. Let's get the camera down here. I think we're still going to need just a fraction more on the bottom edge of this. Not a whole lot. We can leave. Let's try it. Just for fun. We'll try it and see. Does it line up or not yet? Not quite, my friends. We have a slight bit to clean off. And even at that, the card clamps. Oh, I get it. Okay. Simple enough. Let's try it. Here is kind of what we're making, if you can see that pattern there. I'm going to clean this edge off a little more. And then we also need to clean off this piece here along our top edge. We need a chunk taken out of that. Let's see where it's going to hit, and then we'll know where to remove stuff. Kind of silly to go through the trouble, but then again, is it? Because you need to mount the Wi-Fi card. So there is no Ethernet jack, not unless I don't think there is on that thing. I'm pretty sure that's a little Wi-Fi only machine. Okay, so we are fitting on one side. Now we're going to fit our other. Let's undo that. And we have a bit of quick work to do with the Dremel again, so I'm going to mute it, getting it installed. Alright, that takes care of our one part. That's basic. Where are we at here? That is basically what we had to make. And then we have this piece that is going to set a clips in that, but you'll see it from this side when installed in laptop. Screws down, and then that will clamp with our card in between it. In between the two, the Wi-Fi card is sandwiched in. This goes out. We need to drill another very precise hole after we get it mounted to the card to where it will mount and tie the Wi-Fi card. I think we can safely be done dremeling now, at least for the time being. Let's get our broom and sweep the little metal fragments up. There's not many. We didn't have to make a huge mess. But we still did get some, not a lot, more dirt than anything, but we do have some metal there that we don't want in our system. Okay. Time. We are sporting some Arizona today. Not sponsored or endorsed by them, but getting a nice cold drink nonetheless. One other issue, let's go ahead and put our ductwork on our AC. This is laughable at best, but you know what? It works. So I'm the one that gets the laugh. Okay. We need to get our mock-up card assembled and fit together. So we can get a very precise measurement of where this needs to go. I forgot to jump back on over to YouTube. I'm very bad at refreshing pages in chat. Had somebody run up in here. I thought they were after me for a moment, but no, it was the neighbors. The neighbors brought me food. All right, we're gonna take a look at there. That's threading in better now. It feels like it's jamming though on the one, so that's not gonna. We need to get it through this top top metal bracket. It's pretty much a pain in the butt. And I know you really can't see any of this, but I'm not trying to go for the zoomed in look here. it actually threads through. Off with the autofocus. Thank you. It threads through this top one. Now we'll have room to try and clamp our card in. Perhaps. Maybe we won't. Gloves are not very favorable to work in either, but it beats the dirt and the crap in your hands any day of the week. Alright, that's still going to hold our antennas on. It will still clamp the card into place. Very good, very well. And now we can get a somewhat accurate measurement of where is this thing going to tie down at. Let's give it a little final twist. We'll get in a little closer to check this thing out. And that's going to end up going right here to there, and we can get a hole where it's going to screw into the top case of the laptop at. Auto punch. Probably our best bet. Alright, we'll make sure the card is fully inserted there. We have a little wiggle room here, so we're going to use as much as we can. And rough guess where the center of that is. Just put a little light mark for now. Alright, looks good. And we can pull that off. We're going to drill our final hole through here. Then we can trim it up, clean up any of the sharp edges with a file quick, and proceed with the build back up. The screw that we have going through, let me see here, it's on the old top case, is the same size, so we're going to drill the hole and then clean it out a little bit. That way it doesn't thread into our top case and into this. It will never really tighten right. We want it to float through this one and thread into the top case. Make sure this fits in our new it does. And now as long as it's loose in our bracket, then we should be okay. It is going to want to thread, so we need to clean it out. We will try with, we have a round file that will fit in there. We'll just go 1 bit bigger. 1/16 to 5/64. 5/64 it is. And let's check our screw. It should float. It does. It's very free. All right. Time to trim this piece. We don't know, we don't want it getting in the way or potentially cutting into something else. So we'll snip our corners off, and then we're going to clean up the edges of this with a file. It won't be smooth like glass, but it's not going to cut into any ribbon cables or anything. A little bit of cleanup to do, not bad. Not super interesting, but where that piece go? As long as there's no sharp edges where it'll cut into, or PCB of the Wi-Fi card, cut into any ribbon cables or anything that may contact it in the laptop, or somebody moving this in the future, uninstalling the card, don't want to cut their fingers. It's not snagging a glove. I'm saying that is getting good. And be done with it. Very unnecessary normally, not something you would do, but we had no other way to mount the Wi-Fi card. I suppose we could have used some 3M double-sided tape. However, yeah, have fun getting that up, and when you do, you're gonna probably need more. This will at least be secure, not factory, but you can buy adapters like this. Well, maybe not like this, but you can definitely buy adapters out there that do this for mini PCI Express cards, for I don't know about the M.2 cards. I've never had to adapt one of them. This is new business to me, new monkey business here. All right, no sharp edges. We're good. We have our piece. Let's clean up the metal once again, and then get this installed. If I swept that screw, I'm going to feel like an idiot. I probably did. That's all right. We'll find another one. Oh, yes, 100% sure. It's gone. It's on the, nope, it's on the screwdriver. Okay. Not so bad after all. Let's go ahead and get our antenna wires connected. Get our antenna wires connected and then work at installing these pieces. Now, for the metal, metal doesn't mesh well with exposed contacts, but being that it's a ground and it's going to be touching, it's a ground, get it? Let's touch there, and go back there. Okay, so we have a ground on our card, and then this will be the ground of the chassis. I don't foresee any problem, but you never know. Go ahead and get our antenna wires installed. And we can get the card installed. That's going to loop. Oh, okay, so they're looping around. We're going to bend them slightly out of the way there. And remember, we need this to connect over that. So let's get this screw threaded in, and then we will, after it's threaded through, we can connect it with the other piece. You know what? Let's try it. Let's try it. I doubt this is going to work, but you never know. We'll give her a shot at least to see if you can leave that screwed in place there and set this one down to it. It might work. Okay. Shocker, shocker. And I know it's hard to see, but let's go ahead and try. Let's say auto. Let's try and get focus on that. Gonna keep focus on it. So right there's the problem. We had a mount basically like this, that instead of it being here where this screw is, it was actually out here, so we just made a little bracket to extend it, and it actually clamps the card in between it with the factory cover that clamps down the antennas. And the card is plugged into the slot the whole way and straight, so I don't see any problems with that. Let's get back up here a little and continue with this build up. Where do we leave off? We have a battery to install, a DC jack, and a few other things. Now that goes up over, I'm fairly confident, and then we have that there. 1, 2, 3. That will be held down by the screws that come through. It has no choice. It has to go that way. Perhaps it could go that way, but I don't like that. It doesn't feel right pulling that wire back out of the socket by pressing it down with a battery. So we will leave it like that. Get our battery screws. All that crazy business for that Wi-Fi adapter. But you know what? It's in there. I did not expect to have to do that. I probably would have done that off of the air, been like, hey, here's an adapter I made. But I guess it's just a little more credible doing it on the air. Here's our new DC jack. We'll compare it to the old one. As you can see, same thing. It's just missing that little ear. Just missing a little ear on the edge of it. Got the same curved front. Everything looks fairly good there. Just missing the ear on the edge, and that's because it is screwed down over here with our screw. We'll go ahead and work on getting this installed. I want to see how we can brace this, because that little tab. Let's move some stuff here so we can zoom this in a little. Get down there and see what exactly we're going on about. I want to find a way, because other than that little screw, just holding that one plastic little tab down, I think we need, I don't even know. There's not a lot of room. Not a whole lot of room. Let's work on getting it plugged in, and then we'll think about what we can do to brace it. Hot glue, more than likely, or I have the Instamorph, which is just plastic that you can melt with hot air, or with hot air, or you can take and melt it in hot water. Can't remember. Oh yeah, we did remove this and put new thermal paste on, I believe. Yes. Okay, so now we need to mimic the old bend in this one. So plugged in and got squeezed back a little and went there. That's the old one. So slight bend. I think we got a longer wire on this one. Indeed, we do. Well, I think for now it's getting screwed down. If we're gluing or anything of the sort, we're going to do it last. I think the best course of action is I'm going to put a piece or two of 3M tape back behind that. I know that's got to be hard to see. I got to get a ring light for around my camera. But there's going to be, I'm going to put a piece of 3M tape or so back here to build a little ledge up to, because that stuff sticks. It'll stick to the plastic. It won't let the jack push back in if the ear starts to crack or come loose. And that will potentially save this little tab here. Build a little ledge of 3M tape there. Well, we will do that last. We want to get this back together and see what we've got going on with it. What problems? What problems or what not problems? Does it work? I know it turned on. I know it booted to Windows, but it has some major issues on top of that. There are no admin rights for anything, so it's fairly screwed up, infected somewhere or another, but we're not going to fix that here now. Let's go ahead and put our bottom back on. Which is going to go this way. Ooh, this way. And then we also have to plug in this ribbon cable here that is all accordion and folds up over stuff. Let's get that installed now. And there's our DC jack. So far, so good. Everything is snapping back together. Our hinge cover was a little loose, but the laptop's going back together. Let's wind some screws in. I don't think these are the right size. We're going to check, though. Are they winding up through the plastic? Starting to in any way, shape, or form. Let's take a look. I don't see any dents coming up through. We're going to wind them all in very carefully. Actually, should go for some shorter screws. Let's see. No, I think I did this battle. Let's look for shorter ones. Remember, I didn't have these screws, so we're going to check for 9 slightly shorter, same thread screws. I think these are going to be our culprits here, as long as they're all long enough. We'll go for something like those. After all, they are. Well, that one is not much shorter. One, two, three, four. What did I say? 9, right? 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. All right. A lot shorter than these long things that we're winding in here. As long as they still grab, we'll be okay with that. All right, let's find out. Let's see what the report is. Threads in nicely. Doesn't start tightening up like you're hitting the bottom of the hole, gouging through plastic, even a little. Even a little's too much. It's going to loosen up what the screw thread's into, so that just, it feels like it's going together with what it came with versus the other one where they'd start to tighten up right in the last half to a quarter turn. That tightened up almost instantly. After about 2 turns, let's check this one. Same way. Yeah. Alright, we're mixing and matching here. The ones on this outer edge, not quite long enough, so we're going to go with the 2 longer ones. After all, like I said, all these were missing, so we're doing wonders with this right now. This is the thickest part of the laptop. Short screws, no good here. We're going to go with the longer ones. And finally, we need one in the middle. We'll see how a short screw fares. If not well, we'll jump it up. Short is going to be the way to do it. We'll leave these out for now, in case we need them for anything. I doubt it, just in case. And there you have it. We have a rebuilt. We still gotta pull the bottom back off. I'm gonna brace the DC jack, but rebuilt Inspiron. Can't even read it, it's all worn off. So this is an Inspiron for a Dell Inspiron P24t. I think it's an Inspiron 11 3000 series P24t. Let's see if our battery has a charge to it. We did have it plugged in. No charge. Okay. And then we will move this thing out of the way and get cracking on the Dell. What did we not do? Just for a moment. Get out of the way. at some point somewhere we lost power. Okay, so the little blue Dell, there's an issue with the power button. We're going to let the battery charge on it and get back to it later. It has software issues. If you didn't hear me say this before, its software issues are there's no admin rights. You can't delete. Anytime your screen dims out and gives you yes or no, continue, you can't do it. You're not allowed. So there's definitely a software problem present in that computer within Windows. We're going to move on to our all-in-one, and I was just saying when I noticed the mic was gone that what's it called? If it's not a touchscreen computer, it looks very nice for not being a touchscreen. Give me a moment here though to clean up a few tools that I don't need. We can do away with pin snips and the files. Pin snips, the files, and I'm not entirely sure what else. Oh yeah, the neighbor did bring food. I should mute this out and chomp on some food while I'm cleaning up here for a moment. All right, tin snips gone. And I think we're going to use just about everything else here. So, oh yeah, let's put the vise away. Vise away. Drill bits, drill. The drill bits, the drill, and the Dremel, and the laptop screws. The Dremel is one of those things that I always wanted to have. I never really went out and got or had the money for when I was, I don't want to say teenager, but younger. Yeah, definitely younger. Like, man, I wish I had. I always tried to. I broke so many drill bits running the drill on its highest speed and pressing it sideways, trying to use it like a Dremel. I even tried to clamp Dremel bits in a drill, and it just doesn't compare to what an actual Dremel will do. I remember ruining so many tools. Alright, we're going to get into this stash of ketchup and some fries. Is your battery charging, little laptop? I think we have a dead battery on our hands. That will not charge. It's below its minimum voltage that will let it kick on because it sat dead for so long. So that's something else we have to explore on the Dell, and if not, we'll get this gentleman another battery. Alright. French Fry City. Oh, excuse me. I just had a crazy thought. I should make this a food channel. A food channel. I like the sound of it. Okay. Let's let's think for a moment. Back to Friday, right? Where we were on this thing and I was trying to lift this board up out of the computer and I couldn't. I thought you had to tear the CPU socket off. I don't know. Sorry. It doesn't seem that you do have to, judging by this new board. We do, however, need the bracket for the fan. And now also I'm seeing that we've got some other stuff going on the back side of this board. Contrary to my previous statement on Friday that yeah, I don't think there's absolutely anything back there, we can see there's stuff back there. So leads me to question what is holding this board in still that I did not notice, unless you have to remove this plate and these screws screw into something else and the plate's there for shipping. I haven't a clue, but what we're going to do, since this board is locked, A00, let's check everything else on this. H equals LMM, Dell, copyrights, 1312, identical board. So far, so good. We have another bracket we're going to need in this location here. Those we're going to need, or those at least, those three, and possibly a fourth, unless that's part of the display. I don't know. Maybe there's a back plane we tear out, like we undo some screws and a whole metal piece lifts out. I do not know. So we need to take a look and see what could possibly still be holding this board in. It's not the Wi-Fi. All right. It's definitely very sturdily held down right there, though. I'm going to remove the CPU. put you someplace safe over here. I'm going to remove that CPU and undo our CPU socket to see. Right, we found one that fits. Alright, revenge it. Man, those neighbors have some good fries, I'm telling you. Neighbors fries. That's what they're called. If you've never heard of it, Google it. Alright, alright. Enough playing. Let's lift this CPU socket, or not socket, but the CPU holder, and find out. Is that what was retaining it? I don't think it was. It was just in there. Wow. Right, so we are I can literally see nothing. This piece is not separate. It's just literally parked on there like unmoving, unable to be moved. Let's take a moment, I suppose, and this end I picked up and it's loose now. That's easy stuff. No funny business. What's on the reverse side of this board again? Let's look. Something that could plug in or fasten down? Perhaps? It's right about here. Right where that is. The reverse side. That is where it seems like it's held down at. I was thinking this hard drive socket here, but that's not the case. That is just tied down with those two little screws there. Perhaps it's just a matter of whatever thermal paste is attached to that part there. I don't know. We can look it up, I suppose. Like, I'm gonna feel really dumb if there's like a screw somewhere and that's the whole crux of the matter right here. There's nowhere to tie anything down. Alright, let's study for a moment. We'll go back to class. We can see there's nothing there. The only possibility is that there. There's nothing. I'm convinced nothing could possibly be holding that down. So we're gonna hop on over here. Inspiron 23-5348 service. Service manual. That's the owner's manual. Ah, wrong Inspiron there. Somehow an owner's manual. Maybe. Let's keep going. Power supply, processor, heat sink. Removing the system board. Coin cell battery. So you gotta take the battery. They want you to take that out even. I guess. Dell will do it your way. I never take those out. Maybe that's what I've been doing wrong with my life. My life is hating me. You take that out and the board just falls out, right? Alright, anyhow. Hard drive, processor, fan. Well, you know what? We didn't take the fan out, so let's do that. Even though it says I don't see it, but hey, these screws just may release that secret screw, that secret latch that is binding us up right now and tying this thing together. This is it. It's what we've been waiting on. We take this off, we find out what's really inside. It was just a matter of picking up, or maybe taking that fan out. Okay, it was just tied down with some thermal pads. It was holding it. Just pull, pry, break it. Fair enough. So we did not need to remove the CPU socket. Good to note. Let's go ahead and put this back on this other board right now. When messing around these CPU sockets that are not, it's not like a plastic socket where you simply have just like the empty socket with holes for the pins on the CPU. These ones are actually, the CPU processors themselves are pinless, and all your pins reside in the socket. Try not to bang around and drop stuff on those pins. If you bend them, it's a nightmare trying to bend them back. I've ruined a couple boards not being careful, and a screwdriver scraped the pins, bent them out of shape, tried to bend them back, couldn't manage. Yeah, can end up bad real quick. Okay, we're gonna have some neighbor's fries again. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and put our little. Don't do that. Don't you sliding around. We need to get this little trim shield there. I think everything else is pretty much free. Everything is lining up. And looking good. Let's go ahead. Boy. Let's put the fan back in for right now. We're going to go ahead and reattach our CPU fan. Okay. One, two, and three. I'm kind of wondering, I've never been in this exact situation, even with another computer, so I'm kind of wondering what's going to happen. Did the BIOS lock down the hard drive when the password was installed on the other board, or did it just lock the computer and make it so you couldn't boot it? Now, granted, when I installed it in there's that little trim plate, yes, that goes there. We'll have to pull it off of the other one. But when I installed it into the toaster or with the SATA to USB 3 interface, it would not. So I think it might have encrypted the drive. But can we just install a new drive and get Windows up and going? I don't know. we're still waiting on the report back with, does she have data or is it just a gaming computer? And somebody put the password on and locked it down, causing a bill for no reason. We don't know. We will find out though. Man, I keep crazy hiccups today. Says neighbor's fries, I'm telling you. Alright, we have a few other things to put on here. We got to transfer our CPU to the socket. Let's move that out of the way for now. Pull that up out of the way. And then grab our processor. The key on the socket is there. Proper way, I don't know. That's how I've seen it done, so that's what I'm going with. We'll have to clean that off. I think next step, let's clean that off and clean off our heatsink and then reattach it, and then we'll start working on all of our wires. Not bad. So, alcohol, we have a little Q-tip chopped in half here. And our mini alcohol bottle, of course. We got to refill it soon. We're running out. Let's go ahead and we're going to clean up the processor. And as well as our heatsink here. Heatsink, heat spreader. Is there a proper name? Do we have to use proper names? Do we need facts? Or can we just call it the thing? That over there. Alcohol is evaporating fast. Let's get our Arctic Silver. Thermal compound. We're going to put, what is this thing? 20. Oh my. G3220. Let's look this up. I just want to know. G3220, what gen? Haswell, so 6th gen Intel. Not a super great processor, but not bad either. Yeah, it's definitely doable. Anyhow, let's goop some of this up on here and get ready to squash it. Screw holes lined up. It is a case of Phillips. Start one with a few turns and then go to the diagonal. Go with a few turns there. And get each of them started. And finally, wind down our first, back to our second, tighten them down, then tighten the opposite two. And there you have it. Let's look at this other board. We actually have a couple things that can go on here. We're going to need to remove them. And I don't have any of this tape, and I don't think, you know what? It'll actually lift. So let's clean it off there first. We'll clean the old sticky stuff off of this board first. The old foam that somebody just blindly ripped off. We'll try and give it a lift. Do we have something plastic that we can scrape with versus metal? So let's get this little piece of foam adhesive lifted up. I'm not saying it's identical, but you can go generally in the same section where you get 3M tape at the automobile store. They will have a roll of this stuff, and it's white, and it has like a green check pattern on the backing that you would peel off to get it to stick. I'm not saying it's identical, but you can get a foam sticky tape that really resembles this stuff at most auto stores. I'm actually out of it here, but luckily if you just don't yank on these little brackets that hold the Wi-Fi antenna wires, if you don't yank on them, you can peel the old ones right off the motherboard. I mean, maybe you know what? I wouldn't be surprised. We'll have to look on the seller where we got this board and see, do they have the separate pieces for this system? Are those little brackets, are they for sale? Can you buy actual little mounts that will hold your Wi-Fi antennas for an Inspiron 23, 53, 48 series all-in-wonder computer? Might be able to. Don't delay. Order them little brackets today. All right. Give it a few moments for that alcohol to evaporate. We're going to take a break with our Arizona. Dun, 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 dun. Getting late, friends. All right, let's start reattaching some of this stuff. We do have some screws that need to go in as well. We can stick our fan wire here. Alright, that is routed. Now we need to start connecting all of these wires. Got that one. We have a SATA cable disconnector here, which is from our power supply. We've got a SATA cable that, oh wow, they've wrapped that in. Really now. It's a strange place to put it, but okay, Dell. I believe in you. I believe you meant well. And this socket is not all broken like the one on the previous motherboard when we pulled it and pulled the socket off the board. It clips in fairly easy and not super difficult. Let's get all our wires routed where they go along our bottom edge here. Everything fits in here nicely. And then does these little flips and plugs in. What is this? This is a speaker wire. What do you want? Do you actually go in there? You do? And then you go back out. Okay. We have our antennas. We're going to move our little brackets over now. Let's peel these off carefully. We don't want to rip that foam. Just a little bit of pressure pulling and you will succeed in pulling that off of there without absolutely ruining it. Then the same thing with the other one, just a little bit of pressure and the adhesive will release itself from the board. At least that's the plan. Number 1 and number 2. And one up there. Now our Wi-Fi wires have somewhere to be held. Let's get the Wi-Fi card for this thing. Where did we lose it? It might be in the other, oh, what do I want to call it? Shell. And it's not. I think it fell into, didn't notice where I moved it to. Those are our latches. Very good. You know what? Let's take a second look at absolutely everything right now. We have our dongle for this system. We have all of our screws for the system as well. We have our bracket here. We have the rest of the system screws. Where do you think I left it? In the board. Ah! That's what you get. Don't pay attention. Don't pay attention. You saw nothing here. You proved nothing. Don't rewind the video, please. Don't do it. Okay. I was genuinely concerned that I had lost. Not like dropped, lost. It ran away to another country. Just hang with brands other than Intel. Some island. Looking at dolphins. I thought this Wi-Fi card was gone. Okay, that is attached. What's some of the next steps we're going to do? The hard drive we can put in last. We do need to run around and affix a bunch of screws. There should be none. Two, three, four. Which ones? Okay, we have two of those three that are giant. Those have got to be the feet. Let's take a look. This is definitely internal. This is all the stuff we had thrown on the mat. Let's make some space for it, and we'll get this put back together. The RAM should not get in our way. We'll go ahead and install that now. Drives like normal, and we'll sit in to this bracket. All right. Basically, you bend it, set the little pegs back in the holes, then your SATA connector, this side plugs in there. Once you have this bracket screwed down, this will lock it in, the little blue tab. Should be, what, 4 black screws without checking backwards. 4 black ones, I do believe. We could run the other video back. That wouldn't be much fun though, would it? Let's try and remember. Let's see how much further the cheese is slid off the cracker. When speaking of my brain. Oh, what happened to my channels? Can't find support channels. Well, let's hop over to the dashboard. What happened here? Sending data, sending data, sending data. Everything's online. Except for what? YouTube? YouTube? Are you being bad, YouTube? That's alright. So Facebook, both Facebook channels are online, but YouTube, my YouTube is just goofy right now. It's alright, we'll close it out. We don't actually need it. Maybe that will let it lighten up. Alright, there's those P screws. Let's go around and attach all the ones for the motherboard. We've got quite a few. Again, as with most systems, you can have an arrow pointing to where a screw goes, generally. Not always, but generally. We have another connector to connect up here, and then our fan connector. That one goes in there, looking good. So far, so good. We do have a screw hole here. That screws in. We're going to go ahead and take this moment to plug in our CPU fan and go over. We do have a screw there, so we'll go ahead and screw this in. Or not a screw, a white arrow. It's barely sticking out from under the edge of the hard drive bracket, so we'll go ahead and put that one in. And then we should have a few remaining over here around all the I/O. Everything seems to be attached. Let's take another look. We have one more connector here. Now that those screws are in, it seems it goes under the SATA cable. I see nothing on the connector right here that goes. I think it attaches to this or above. I'm not sure where. We'll figure that out here in a few moments. Alright, it is time for... That's going to be what? Our VESA mount. We had to pull this out at one point. And it goes in there. Let's move this wire out of the way. We need to figure out where that... Actually, we can check now. Where our little switch goes. I know where it goes. It comes up through this piece. So we're going to have to fish it out of there and then screws down there and there. Despite all that, let's check the rest of our cables and make sure nothing's going to get in the way. And it seems that these have to move to there. So good so far. Or so far so good. However that saying goes. Let's go ahead and work on getting this board back out. It's up. Let's set this back down. We're going to check to make sure there's absolutely no wires pinched on any of the spots where anything goes right now. It doesn't seem that there are. That looks good. We can fasten it back down with a 1, 2, 3. It seems like we have 3, possibly 4 M3 screws. And then this with all the wires out of the way should set here. One other final thing, we have this shield that covers this area. We have our hard drive that we can install. That's in. Let's get our shields and take a look at those. There is not much more. We have our back cover. We have our bottom cover that covers the speakers that I want to see if it goes on now before we get much further. And then we have our big shield that goes on the metal shield. This cover goes here, and actually it fastens to the outside of this I/O protective shield, so we can put that on in a few moments. For now, let's dump these screws out and take a look. We need 4 M3 screws. So let's find 4 of those. That just sits there, and we have a black screw that went in that. Alright. There's a little reset button. Now we need 4 M3 screws. 4 of those are the big ones for there, and we use 4 of these smaller ones. First, we have to move this and attach. We're going to attach this bottom I/O shield first with 4 of the M3 screws. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Generally, I don't like splitting up bigger teardowns or builds or anything like this over a longer period of time like that. It's not really a comfortable thing for me. Don't like it, but I have done it on many occasions. It can get confusing when you go and you're starting to put everything back together. So those are M3s. These will be our M4s. These are what hold down our VESA mount. And then we have 1 M3 screw tying our VESA mount to our I/O shield. Let's put our trim plate back on now. Here we can get a close look, unobstructed. Let's zoom this in a little bit and take a look here. Give me a moment to work on the focus. Go back to what you're doing. Let's just set it down instead of carrying it. Now we'll do it. Here you can see we have our service tag and then also the CN number when I called in. This is the way they identified it, and they asked me about who the current owner was to verify that, it wasn't, I guess, stolen or all kinds of things. If it's in or out of warranty, there'll be a few reasons they ask about all of it, but that was how they verified it and tried to dig up from within the bowels of Dell's system the master BIOS password that did not work. I didn't expect it to, and his very next line was, yeah, you have to send it in and pay $40 ahead of time. What is it, $40 ahead of time, and then basically they name their price for you to get your computer back, and just was very uncomfortable. Now maybe it would have stuck at the $40. Maybe that would have been the charge to get it fixed. However, I'm thinking no. I'm thinking the $40 was basic diagnostics, and then they start running, because they're not just going to fix what the problem is. They're going to check over the entire system, and any little thing that's wrong, somebody's going to be hands-on with that. Or maybe they have some kind of utility that scans and goes over all this automatically, like a program that's automated that starts repairing stuff within Windows, the system itself. Who knows? We didn't want to end up with the Dell names the price bill, so we're going to see what we can do here. What am I missing? I have one. Count it. One left over. One leftover M3 screw. Well, let's take a look around. We could have skipped over it fairly easy. Right there, the fan itself, or the other side of the heatsink. Okay, so we found that without much trouble, hesitation. Threads right in, looks good. We like it. We like it when they go back together and do what they are supposed to do. Here's our main protective shield for this side. We'll set it down, slide it in, it's latched, and it's protecting. We've got a little door to change the RAM, or we don't need to do that. That is basically that. Now we are going to, oh boy, snap on the back cover. I suppose we can clip the foot back on. Relatively easy. It's just a button and it comes off of there. Let's take a look at these latches. So they literally just gonna set in there, and then snap, snap, snap. Stand this up and go along the top. That's actually back together. Surprisingly easy. Let's check the latches on the bottom. Our orange is still showing, so it is unlocked. We're gonna snap them inwards to cover up the orange. It's back together. Let's foot this thing. We ready to foot it? If we didn't lose it. Somebody borrow a foot. Not tell me about it. Did you take my foot? You got my foot. You're not my foot. Oh, okay. I set it out here. My mistake. Okay, here we go. We have our foot. Let's get this thing powered up. Just your standard PC power cable, and see what happens with a new motherboard. New motherboard, old hard drive. Is the hard drive locked? We have to do something else with it. I don't quite know. But the build-up is basically done, and We'll get into software tomorrow. Let's take a quick look, though. I do want to see. I've been curious about this all day, and now the computer's here, so I'm going to plug it in and power it on and see what's going to happen. Okay, we have power going to the computer. I'm guessing it's going to just blah, be done, be uncooperative, and say, hey, you got no hard drive or encrypted. Like I said, I've never been in this exact situation with a computer before. Kind of curious, want to see how it works out. We also have to put the Dell dongle back in here for her mouse and keyboard. Alright, we have our wireless mouse and wireless keyboard here. Let's power it on. These are going to be basically useless, so here goes nothing. Power, and see what happens. We do have a power light. It's going to say locked, useless, you're done. Alright, we've got a Dell. So the hard drive, now before where the screen was blue, okay, so let's take a moment and appreciate this here. Can we zoom out at all? We're out all the way. Okay, so before we got the Dell Security Manager and the window was blue, the system could not boot without the password. The hard drive, the system internal HDD-0 is protected by a password authentication system. You cannot access data on this hard drive without the correct password. Please type in the hard drive password. So whoever passworded this did it all the way around. But we're not getting that data off that drive. And what we can do is open it up and replace the hard drive, and the system will be back up and running for this lady here. So we're going to check on that. We're going to see if the password that Dell, when I called, the password they gave me, $4B, let's try it, $4B, I doubt it very much. Validating. So basically I exceeded the maximum retries. Alert, power supply, fan failure. Power supply fan failure. So we have to open this back up and take a look at that fan to make sure it is indeed plugged in. To continue, press F1. To change setup options, press F2. To run onboard diagnostics, press F5. Let's go into setup. F2 key. Go into setup for a moment and see. Okay, so we do have a BIOS this time that we can access compared to no BIOS last time. Let's look under security, internal HDD0 password, password configuration. And enter the old password, enter the new password, confirm the new password. Excuse me. By default, the drive will not have a password set. In the blank password, I doubt it's going to let me set 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's see if it takes it. Okay, old password was not correct. password cannot be the same as the old one. So let's do 4321. Wouldn't that be amazing if whoever set this just did something like 1234 for the password? Let's hit OK. I know it's a failure. The service tag must be set before setting a password. This option allows you to set your system's service tag. The service tag is a unique 7. Alright. You know what? We're going to pick up on this tomorrow. Like I said, we're not getting into the software side of things tonight. But we do have a working Dell. Worst case scenario, if nobody remembers setting a password, we'll install a new drive, shove a new setup. But what we're actually going to do is I'm going to set a password here. That way nobody else can go into the system and do that. Which is a shame because this was just here. Got work done. It was running great. This lady loved it. Got it back. And I got to use it not very long. And she was locked out of her computer. So what a shame that somebody set a password like that. We're going to set one here this time, though, to avoid this same situation. And also put a note on her paperwork, hey, there is a password set. We set it. You should never need to type it. Call us to get it, and we'll have it documented here within our records. But yeah, it's just crappy that somebody got in and set the password. Anyhow, we will pick up on the software side of things. We have the blue Dell, we have this one, we have a desktop, and stuff is starting to stack up again. So, have a good evening, good morning, a good afternoon, wherever you are. It's one of those. Enjoy it. If you do this stuff, if it's more than a job, a passion, a hobby, relaxation, whatever it is, spread it, get it out there, share it. If somebody else needs a hand with it and you happen to do it, give them a hand. Fix their stuff for free. Get Neighbor's Fries and Friendly Pizza. Get Friendly's Pizza and Neighbor's Fries. You'll enjoy it. Never assume that your Wi-Fi is left to go to an island and watch dolphins with other Intel and non-Intel products. Thank you for clicking that link and showing up. I do appreciate it. And I will see you tomorrow.